Welcome to the final part of the last Turrican game ever released. I did not mean to use the bomb just there. Off to a great start. But as I was saying, Super Turrican 2 was the last ever game in the franchise to have an official release. Unofficially, Factor 5 attempted to revive the series twice. However, those projects fell through either because of greedy corporatism or bankruptcy on Factor 5. So let's get into this history of Turrican. Well, more so the history of the fall of Turrican, starting with Turrican 3D, which was originally intended to be Turrican 5. This game was supposed to be released in 1999 on computers. And the game was a third-person shooter but with platforming elements, so think of Mario 64 with guns. Turrican 5 was well into development. In fact, it was nearly finished, but the publishers at the time, THQ, canceled the game. The reason being that THQ had a bit of a disagreement with Factor 5 and the series creator, Manfred Trends. And this is where the corporate greed came in, and THQ wanted to make as much money as possible, and they didn't really care about the quality of the game, so yeah. You can imagine how that went. And I'm kind of disappointed that Turrican 5 or Turrican 3D didn't come into fruition, but based on Manfred's words, the game probably wasn't going to be that good anyway. Like, just imagine you making a series, a groundbreaking series at that, and you give it to a corporation thinking you can trust them, but the corporation goes completely left field with your IP. And now that I think about it, that's the perfect analogy for Nickelodeon back in the 2000s. But that was almost the case with Turrican 5. But that will not be the quote-unquote end of trying to develop another Turrican game, as Factor 5 attempted to develop a Turrican game on the PlayStation 3. The development name for this game was called Turrican Project Cyclone. And after the commercial failure of Lair on the PlayStation 3, you remember that game? Factor 5 went into bankruptcy. And unlike the earlier 3D title where that game was almost finished, Turrican Project Cyclone was still in the conception stage. No gameplay footage, no beta, no nothing. I'm not even sure if you could find actual pictures of Project Cyclone. But it existed before Factor 5 went under. Well, okay, Factor 5 didn't technically go under, they just went bankrupt. And in 2017, it seems like the company has made a slight comeback, and Factor 5 has even reacquired the rights to Turrican, so maybe we'll get more games in the future? I highly doubt it, but we do have 3 collections of these games, so we'll take what we can get. And I would rather have 5 really good 2D Turrican games as opposed to 1 or 2 really bad 3D Turrican games. Like what they did with Contra, with that Rogue Core game. Ugh. I did not like Contra Rogue Core at all. Give me that tea. I actually really want tea now, like iced tea. And here's... oh, I hate this level. Other than the fact that the visuals will give you eye strain if you look at the tunnel for too long, but the controls here are like a shitty version of the half-tube stages from Sonic 2. Or maybe even the NES game Gyrus, if all the fun was sucked out of it. You have to take out these mines and bikers are coming towards you. But the perspective here in the Mode 7 is definitely not good. You see, it's a double-edged sword with Mode 7 because sometimes it's used really well and other times it's bad, like this. Or the Death Star tunnel run from Super Return of the Jedi. Oh, that was pretty bad too. And this stage does not have any health pickups or checkpoints, so if you die you have to do this entire thing over again. Luckily it's not that long. And doesn't this effect kind of remind you of the hypnosis technique where it's a similar spiral and it's red and white? Because that's what I'm getting from here.
Stage 3, 4.
Glad that's over, my eyes were actually starting to hurt. Anyway, stage 3-4 is a build up to the boss of World 3. All you have to do is shoot the mines and progress to the right. It's a very Gradius type of affair here. The thing is, you cannot shoot the chain links of the mines in order to destroy them. You actively have to aim for the mines themselves. And you can also get caught up in the chains too. As I'm about to embarrassingly demonstrate, oh! And that's why Turrican 3D was cancelled. Wait, what? Okay, you can't just say a random thing as a joke. That doesn't make sense. What else doesn't make sense is the timer doesn't actually restart if you fuck up, so you gotta keep moving and not die. And as you know, running out of time causes you to lose 1 life. And I'm not sure how Super Turrican 2 handles the hard mode. I think it's also like the earlier games, in which case you only have 1 continue to actually beat the game. If you lose that continue, it's back to the title screen. I am playing this on the normal difficulty, however, so I may have 3 or 4 continues from what I remember, but I don't lose any continues. I do lose a shit ton of lives, though.
Smart bomb. Boss approaching.
Manta Ray! The boss starts out by ramming you off the bike, and there's really nothing you can do about that. It's just, I guess, scripted? Sort of, not really, but it's scripted. You're supposed to get off the bike. However, you can get back on the bike after you dodge the Manta Ray's attacks, which is literally just him shining a spotlight on you and trying to stab you with his tail. This is probably the easiest boss in the game pattern-wise because there's not much to it. I mean, sure, stuff falls from the ceilings, but it's very slow and you can dodge it, you can shoot it out of the air or water, and the Manta Ray itself is not really that aggressive. I mean, he knocks you off the bike, but you don't really take that much damage on the bike. And his attacks are mainly just the ball and chain strategy from Sonic 1 and then the spotlight thing where he tries to stab you with the tail. But this boss does serve as a breather for the final stage in the game, which is rough. The final stage is a very hard one. But it's not really that bad. It's just a couple more levels, 3 more boss fights, and then that's it. That's endgame. I just figured I'd use my bombs to take the boss down quicker. And also, you can't use bombs on the next stage coming up. Why? Well, reasons. Ridiculous reasons, but reasons nonetheless. Yeah! You materialize in one of Machine's ships, on its flight to the flagship of evil. In the corridors of the ship, dozens of rocket-powered, heavily armored space cycles are lined up. Using one of the space cycles, you enter the sun's upper atmosphere on your way to the final confrontation. So this next section takes you to a star, quite literally. How many games have you fight on the sun? And how many games has this effect where objects come at you in a 2.5D of perspective only to get folded by the bottom of the screen? It's like you got pressed by a steamroller. What is happening and why? Anyway, the ship sequence here is kind of fucked because you got a million objects flying your way and you can't really control the spaceship like you want to because your spaceship has a bit of inertia to it. Just say, for example, you fly to the right and you fly to the right, and for whatever reason you let go of the D-pad, your ship will continue to fly to the right until it loses momentum. And that's even if you're holding in the opposite direction. The space cycle is very heavy in that regard. And that might have something to do with the fact that we're on a sun, which has the heaviest gravity known to mankind. And even then I'm bullshitting because it's actually black holes that have the heaviest gravity in the universe. But you know what I mean. This stage sucks, I can't control the ship. I do like the music though, that's one thing that hasn't changed at all regarding this game. The music's always awesome. Especially with the MIDI guitar, which you're thinking, that sounds fake, but it's also Super Nintendo, so I'll let it slide here. Mainly because it's Super Nintendo. And the good thing about this stage is if you die, you just come back instantly. There's no real checkpoint system here. Oh, come on, you know that's bullshit. I should have squeezed through there. You can't move up and down, you're just relegated to moving left and right. This stage is very much like Galaxian or Galaga. Except you got added momentum issues. Okay, we should be coming to the boss of this stage, which is the giant face. No, it's not Tom Cruise's F-14 from Top Gun, it's a giant face. What is this game? The game was trying to be deadly serious with the narrative and then it just devolved into villain of the week in less than an hour. Now, the face here is kinda tricky. Not at first as he is stationary for most of the first phase, but once he gets to the second phase, that's when he starts to get deadly. You see those giant spark balls of fuckery right there? They move based on where he's moving. So if the face shoots it near the edge of the screen and then he turns around, those spark balls will turn around with him. And so will the rings too. In fact, the rings are even more unpredictable because they just speed up and slow down whatever the hell they want. But you can at least shoot the rings and destroy them. You can't really do the same thing with the spark balls though. So my best strategy is to stay away from the center long enough to, you know, not die. But you also need to shoot the center too in order to destroy the thing. And his mouth only stays open for so long, and that's when he shoots the balls! Oh, and here's phase 3. The face will move forward or elongate its face. I don't know how metal can stretch like that, but then again, we're on the freaking sun, and anything's possible in Turrican. But you don't want to be underneath the boss when he does that, because he will push you off the screen and insta-kill you. The boss is a crafty bastard, and you're probably gonna lose a couple of lives to him, but he's not that bad. And here we go again with the stretching metal. How does that even work? But here we are, the final true stage of Super Turrican 2. And it's just a long hallway. And this is a dapper looking place for a final area. Especially a final area that takes place on the sun. I think someone might have lost their minds when creating this base. Either the machine himself, the villain, or the stage designers of this game. Like, who the hell puts a hotel on the sun anyway? But anyway, this stage is not really that big of a problem because you got some of the underwater enemies that like to shoot first, so you just duck underneath their attacks. And eventually you'll make it to the machine who is in his pod, and he is not that hard of a final boss, at least in this form. There are 3 phases to this guy, and his first phase is by far the easiest. He just shoots this green gas at you. Using the morph ball will keep you safe from most of his attacks, which as of right now is just this. Phase 2, the machine likes to get his hands dirty and becomes Dracula, I guess, I don't know. But he will shoot a couple of different projectiles. One of which is a ground spread, and the other one being a 3-way shot that goes high, mid, and low. I did cheese the boss fight by turning into the morph ball right on top of the machine and laying down carpet bombs. That is a strategy you can do.
Boss approaching.
You know, I was in the camp that was like, nah, this is my least favorite Super Turrican game, or least favorite Turrican game, but now that I'm playing more of this, I kind of like this more than the first Super Turrican, to be honest. It's mainly because this game is so batshit ridiculous at times that you can't help but love it. But here's the final boss, and he is a bit of a pain. Firstly, don't get caught in the starfire, you will die instantly. Secondly, watch out for his drill because he'll drop stuff on you and that will hurt. And he does this attack where he'll expose himself. Not like that. He'll expose his dome to you, that's when you have to take the opportunity to shoot him. And once you hear this sound that's currently playing, the sound, that's him activating his saw. He'll move the saw blade in a swinging motion, so you just have to jump over the blade when it comes towards you. And be sure to collect plenty of missiles. And a spread shot, you're gonna need them. Oh yeah, and I forgot he does this move where he slams the drill into the ground, but doesn't seem to quite slam it towards you, so he just slams it wherever the fuck he wants. It's pattern based, so he slams his drill to the left, and he works his way to the right. Rinse, lather, repeat, then he slams his drill from the right to the left. Man, who plays jump rope like this? And I just like how we're all of a sudden in some sort of industrial complex or factory. Weren't we just in a hotel that was on a sun? Why are we in a factory all of a sudden? Sir, we gotta put the robot refinery right next to the Beetlejuice Resort. It's the only way to maximize income. And I actually can't believe I called this stage the Beetlejuice Resort. You know, I'm sticking with it. I'm calling this stage the Beetlejuice Resort from now on. In fact, I don't even know what this stage is actually called. It's in the instruction manual, but I just didn't read it. Well, that's the machine down, hopefully for good this time. And since this game is 28 years old now without a sequel, this guy is dead. I like how the fire just courteously waited for us to escape, then everything blows up. As your ship blasts off into safety, the flagship of evil explodes in one gigantic flash of light. The planets and their inhabitants are finally free from the forces of darkness. After years of fighting, the incarnation of evil is destroyed. The machine and its powers are finally gone. The galaxy can face the future without fear. Remembering the many lives lost in the battles against the dark side, the freedom fighters honor their hero. And that was Super Turrican 2 on the Super Nintendo. Quite a fun game, even though it was a late release and is probably gonna be super fucking expensive now. You can get it on modern consoles for cheap. And that's also with 5 other Turrican games and bundles, so you're getting 5 games in a collection for about $40 to $60 as opposed to one cartridge of this game for about $200, which is... ugh. Yeah, I would not pay for the cartridge at all. But anyway, great game. I still don't like it as much as Mega Turrican, but I do like this game over the first Super Turrican and the first 2 Turrican games on the Amiga. And yes, before some of you ask, I am aware that there is a Super Turrican game on the Nintendo Entertainment System, the original Nintendo, but it was never released here in America, and I never played it, so I'm not going to play it. It seems like a fun game and I'll try it on my own time, but playing it for the channel, nah, I'm good. I'm a bit Turricaned out as of right now. I might give the computer games a shot in the near future. It's just those games are freaking hard. Like, fucking hard. Turrican 2 especially. The game I stand a better chance at actually beating is Turrican 3 on the Amiga, but that's just Mega Turrican on the computer, so there you go. Turrican 1 and 2, I need to practice heavily if I were to stand a chance. But that's a story for another time. I do have a couple of videos in the works at the moment, like I still have to look at Jedi Survivor, which I've heard people are complaining about. Some of it's valid, yes, but I have a PS5, so maybe the issues that people are suffering are not as intense on my end, but we shall see. We shall see. I'm also working on finishing up Resident Evil 4 and Jedi Fallen Order. I'm doing a video of Jedi Survivor and the same time doing a playthrough of Jedi Fallen Order. It gets kind of confusing after a while. But just look forward to more videos in the future. But that's gonna be it. My name is Don. This was Turrican 2, but super. And this ending song is kinda sad. Why is this ending song really sad?